I'm surprised Kyle Lowry's deal didn't get done anytime sooner. So many options, but the 76ers seem to be the team with the most in play with him, even though the Lakers popped up late. The fact that the 76ers went with George Hill instead is telling, only because it means that the 76ers believe that they have a good enough roster as it is. We talked about Tobias Harris yesterday. They got to get healthy, obviously, and primarily that's Joel Embiid. But it's also telling us that they don't want to spend the money. Kyle Lowry is an expensive addition at $30 million a year and at $25 next year, I believe, whereas George Hill is only $10 million. So at the end of the day, is it a better signing? Probably not. But is it a more prudent signing? I'd say yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, this has been good for the NBA. I mean, there was one sequence. I was in the car with Kins today for a little bit, and I'm coming in, and we were playing her music because it was our day. But I'm saying to myself, it's also NBA trade deadline. Daddy's got to do just a modicum of work before I get back home, and it was like in sequence. Boom, Vucevic going to the Bulls, and I thought Denver made some pretty interesting acquisitions. I'm not saying I love Aaron Gordon, but with him and JaVale McGee, serviceable bodies. I think the Powell pickup by Portland, I was talking to D-Cell about this down the line before the show. What Powell does for me, even 48 with the Celtics, what he does now for Portland, because we always talk about Portland, but we always stop short of, I don't want to say taking him totally serious because that's disrespectful to Dame, and that's not what my intention is at all. He's a killer. But, if you're in a one of those swing games tied 2-2, 1-1 in a series, whatever it might be, game 3, game 5, or obviously even a game 7, and McCollum has, a 4 for 15 stinker, or Lillard's not quite dropping 40, he's a low efficiency. It's happened. It's going to happen. He's human. A low efficient 26 points where a lot of shots, and he's not Damian Lillard. I mean, at least you've got Powell to pick up the slack there. First of all, I love what Portland did, and I love what the Bulls did. Between Zach LaVine and Vucevic, who's two-time All-Star, but more importantly, there's a compliment nature now where we all know that LaVine attacks the rim. He's a terrific shooter as well. His efficiency is spiked. But they complement each other well. And, now that you bring somebody who's 30 years old into the mix like Vucevic is, a hardened, savvy, seasoned, respected pro, I think the Chicago Bulls had a hell of a day.
Yeah, but do you think it's going to help the Bulls this year? That's the question.
Absolutely. Bulls are going to the playoffs.
And then doing what? That's
I don't
the
know.
only thing.
Depends who they play.
And again, I don't know the details of the signing and what it's going to do to their cap situation. These 76ers, we know that they're already over the cap, so that's why they earn the what do they call it? The penalty, the tax. And so they had to be smart as it pertained to bringing in a trade partner. Whereas the Bulls, they're nowhere near that. So they just got to get relevant because, it's been so long, BT, like really long time since the Bulls were relevant where we were saying this team's going to make the playoffs and they could make some noise in the playoffs. Maybe they make noise now, but obviously we still got to wait to see.
Yeah, ever since Derrick Rose got hurt, their entire fortunes went down with his crumpled knee. At one point you had, let's face it, Derrick Rose was the player who interrupted LeBron James's MVP streak. It's easy to kind of forget about that little footnote, but that happened. Joakim Noah, as funky as his shot was, as unconventional as his approach was, just the way he played, it was so foreign. You didn't really see many players like his foul shot, just really a strange-looking approach, shooting the ball. Great passer. Great defender. You had a terrific coach in Thibodeau, who's obviously doing good things year one with the Knicks here. So that was the last time. They've had, little blips where, maybe they drafted this guy, but Wendell Carter, expendable. He's not a 3-point shooter. He's an around the basket guy. He's really nothing special in my opinion. I was saying to D-Cell too, where, I know you guys were slacking about this. Santher was minimizing the Bulls' move, which I think is ridiculous. I love what the Bulls did. If the season started today, the Bulls are a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference, in my opinion.
Yeah, but it doesn't start today. That's the problem. They're a 10 seed right now, and they're 5 games under 500.
But everybody, the 8, 7, 8, 9, 10, it's the play-in.
That's a good point. I almost forget that. Like every time it comes up, I always forget that. I feel like it was a 1 year. I don't know, trial or whatever, quirk because of the Orlando bubble. But I forget that they're doing that this year. And we know how this goes. You make a move at the deadline. Yeah, maybe it takes 10 games. Who knows before you get up to speed. But if you mess around and get into the postseason and maybe even, get some wins in that first round, I mean, who knows? I mean, they've made this really interesting with the postseason play. I always forget that they did that last year, and they're continuing this year.
I'm just kind of going through some tweets here. So Shams had the J.J. Redick to the Mavericks deal. Okay, I mean, I love Redick. He's had a better career than I ever thought he would. He willed himself into at least a serviceable defender, a little more creativity off the dribble than I think anybody thought. Not that he's breaking people down. I don't mean that in the open court. But, I mean, I think a lot of people thought when he came out of Duke, if he wasn't wide open, like as a stationary shooter, that J.J. Redick wouldn't fare very well in the NBA. It took him a couple of years to get adjusted, obviously. But, we all remember him, running off screens, kind of like Reggie Miller. I mean, just 5 inches shorter. Roughly, maybe 4 inches, whatever it is. J.J. Redick has not had a good season at all. If this is like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the Redick, Doncic, Porzingis, Hardaway package is maybe a little more interesting than it is today. I would have liked to see the Mavericks. I'm sure they tried, but that doesn't necessarily satisfy what I thought the Mavericks needed to do. Every year you have a duo like they have, you got to try to. I mean, listen, Redick's obviously not a stiff at all.
Look, he's an off-ball shooter. He's going to help them.
He's had a bad season, Tiki.
He has, but is that because of being in New Orleans, or is that because of he's just losing some of his proficiency as a shooter? It could be a little bit of both. And we have no idea. But he's going to
right?
He's going to be in a place where Doncic drives and kicks, and he's going to actually be standing around wide open, I think, a lot of the time, especially with Porzingis playing the way that he is. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I love it, but I actually think it's a good spot for him. He was wallowing a little bit in New Orleans, kind of as an elder statesman, not really doing anything. I know it was frustrating for him, even though it was kind of cool because you're with all these young kids, but they're not ready to win anytime soon, and that's not where he wants to be at this point in his career.
The last I heard, I was watching The Jump before. I was surprised, unless they put something on now, and I'm not even going to flip the channel while I'm on the air, but I was surprised NBA TV didn't have some sort of NBA trade deadline. I flipped it on thinking they've got to have something going on. It was a replay of a game from last night.
It's because it's always a dud. We like blow it up and hype it up to these degrees, and then nothing really happens. I mean, think about what we're talking about right now. I mean, Norman Powell, it's a good pick. It's a good sign.
I think today delivered. For me, Vucevic is an all-star.
Yeah, okay, he's an all-star, but what's he going to do? And you know what I mean?
I think the Bulls better.
Okay,
a lot better.
But they're in the 10th spot right now. And so it's not like a team that is just outside of being, the elite contender made a big move. To me, the biggest thing is that Kyle Lowry didn't get traded
yet.
Lonzo,
yet. That could still pass through the league office.
What are we at right now? We're
307, 308. Probably not.
So Lonzo, we already know that's not happening. Victor Oladipo, surprisingly, is not happening either because he basically said he didn't want to be there long term. So why not go get some assets for him? It doesn't make any sense. But the most important one, at least going into this for me, was Kyle Lowry. Now, I know that the Philadelphia 76ers flirted with this for a long time, but they made an economic decision as opposed to a practicality, let's try to win a championship decision. Maybe it works out for them. Maybe it doesn't. But sitting 10 minutes after the hour right now, BT, looks like Kyle Lowry's going to stay put in Toronto, and that's surprising.
D-Cell, what do you got? You got something for us?
I got something big.
Come on, buddy. Let's go.
According to Woj, Houston is trading Victor Oladipo to the Miami Heat.
Good move.
And that was the other spot where we thought Kyle Lowry might head.
Yeah, we did.
It looks like Kyle Lowry's going to be the odd man out. I think it is a good move for the Miami Heat. They get a player who is obviously much more than serviceable. And given that the attitude, if he gets it right down there with Jimmy Butler and that crew, they can be viable as well. What did they give up, D-Cell? Do we know? give
Well, you know
up.
they weren't giving up Hero no matter what, so he's still on the team. Bam's still there, but that's all that matters. Butler's there. Who'd they give up? Second-round picks, a bunch of dead weight? What'd they give up, Diesel?
We do not have the terms of the trade yet.
Yeah, okay. Woj just has Houston is trading Victor Oladipo to Miami.
Okay.
That is it. No details yet.
Hey, listen, we said yesterday what made this so interesting, at least coming in, and, we were having fun. For the last 8 years, Tiki and I have been, wetting everybody's whistle. Oh, it's going to be huge. Oh, NBA trade deadline. Oh, this guy might get dealt. This team's looking to do that. Oh, look out for this move. It's coming. And usually you get crickets. You get, mid-level, C- type of transactions that don't move the needle at all. This is subjective, so maybe you're not incredibly moved by the Norman Powell move by Portland. I love it.
Yeah, it just makes them lights out shooting. But when they need a big guy to kind of be an influence in some point, they don't. I mean, I guess Enes Kanter's playing great right now, but they got a lot of shooting. I don't know if shooting is going to win you anything in the postseason.
Hey, listen,
so we'll see.
I don't doubt that. All I'm saying is, Portland's a team that gets a little bit of respect before the move, so they should get more respect now.
Yeah, no, I don't
because they added one of the preeminent shooters in the game. Here's a stat for you: there's 64 players this year in the NBA that have taken at least 200 3-point attempts. He is third in percentage. Norman Powell is third behind Joe Harris, and Ingles is one. Your guy Harris from UVA is number 2. He's at 43.9%.
Yeah.
And you got Dame breaking you off the dribble. He's going to be white. He's going to be open like Harris is open for the Nets.
Yeah, you're right.
Really, if you think about it.
Especially because C.J. McCollum's taken more three-pointers than he ever has, and he's hitting 43% at this point. So they got shooting all around the perimeter. The question is that going to win in the postseason?
I'm not going to win a championship, probably not. But it could. Here's what it does. It opens up my mind to, I guess, extend the conversation or extend the list of teams that could win a series that, quote unquote, they're not supposed to win.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
And here's the other thing,
because
too.
they shoot their way to victory. They can. At least they have the ability to shoot their way to victory, and whoever they're playing just has no answer for it, as long as they're all on.
Yeah, for sure. But here's, even if they're not on, as I said before, you can now absorb. And this rarely happens, but they're not robots, so it's going to happen at least once. You just hope it doesn't happen at the most inopportune time. If McCollum is a 3 for 13 or Dame is just shooting 32 or 33% on a given game in the playoffs, maybe Powell sticks 3, 4, 5 threes, and what would have been a loss if you don't have Powell on the court, maybe it's a win. But as we said yesterday, what was really intriguing about this to both of us is that the NBA, the path to a championship was as open, and maybe even still is as open as we can recollect in recent years. Certainly the Raptors year with Kawhi, that was unique because he was there for a year and a great player, and they obviously won. But you look at the injuries to LeBron and AD, you look at Joel Embiid's injury, he'll be back, but until he's back, it's still an issue. You look at the Nets, their trio, which is as vaunted as it gets. They rarely play together. Harden, tweaked. He didn't even play last night. They got understandably got waxed, but he didn't play.
81 points or 82
It was
points.
ugly.
It was ugly.
It was a rough one.
Yeah.
But listen, Kyrie's coming back in a few games. Kevin Durant's been out since February 12. I'm not worried about Kyrie's body right now. I'm not worried about James Harden's neck. I am a little worried about Durant's hamstring.
Yeah.
The Lakers didn't do it. I am. What's interesting is that the teams that I thought needed to do something of more significance did not.
Yes.
And the teams that, what are the Bulls going to do? It kind of closes that gap a bit.
Yeah, it does.
A little bit.
A little
Not
bit,
much.
but not much. This, according to Woj now, BT, Kyle Lowry is officially staying put with the Toronto Raptors.
Good.
He's been there for a lot of years and is one of the all-timers in Toronto Raptors history.
Yeah.
I guess it's good for him. I mean, it would be odd at 35 years old. It's his 35th birthday today to go someplace else. Yeah, he could probably win another championship somewhere else if he would have gone to the Lakers or the 76ers or something like that. But it just makes it interesting what the plan is going forward for the Toronto Raptors now that they hold on to Kyle Lowry. They're going to be in the postseason. They might make some noise, but I don't see them with the firepower to win anything.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.